In this video, I'm going to be installing the hands on this key wind pocket watch. This pocket watch is one that I had restored in a previous video. I had replaced the balance staff, and of course I cleaned and oiled it. Well, I finally got around to finding some hands for this watch, but I have a couple of problems with these hands. First is the hour hand hole is too small to fit on the hour wheel. It should be able to fit right on that hour wheel with no problem. So now I'm going to have to enlarge the hole of that hour hand. Now the second issue I have is the square hole for the minute hand is too large for the cannon pinion. So I'm going to have to make that hole smaller. When I purchased these hands, they were advertised as fitting a Waltham key wind pocket watch, but apparently they don't. So now I'm going to have to modify them to fit. So let's first work on this hour hand and enlarge the hole on it. Now, one of the tools I'm going to be using is a watch hand broaching vise. This clamp reduces the risk of you bending the hand or getting the hole that you're broaching off center. And I'll be using this jeweler's round needle file to enlarge the hole in that hour hand. So let's get started on opening the hole up on that hour hand. To use that broaching vise, you unscrew the bottom part. You don't unscrew it all the way, just part way. Then you press in between your two fingers and it'll spread the opening up for the vise. Now the vise is spring loaded, so if you remove your fingers from it, it'll close itself back up. So as you place your hand in there, you choose the correct size pilot hole that you're going to be using to broach that hole out on the pocket watch hand. You check your hand to make sure it's centered good in that pilot hole and know it's not off centered. And once it's good and centered, you tighten up on the vise and that locks that hand in there securely, and you don't take a chance of bending your hand when you start the broaching process. Well, before we start enlarging the hole on that hand, we need to know what size to make it, and that's where this digital caliper comes in handy, because we don't want to make the hole too large where we have to resize it again. So what I do is I take the hour wheel off the watch and measure the outside diameter of the hour wheel tube that the hour hand slides over. So now once I got my measurement, I lock down my digital caliper so I don't lose my measurement. Then I take my caliper and my file that I'm using and find the measurement of that hour tube on the file. So now I have a stopping point on that file. I'll take a little bit of white out and make a mark on the file, and I'll know not to go past that mark, or I will make the hole too big on that hour hand. And that white out can be cleaned off that file for the next time I need it. Normally I'd use this hand sizing gauge to size the hand and get my measurements, but since this size 18 hand is just too large, it won't work with this. So that's why I'm having to use the method that I'm using now. And I'll be making another video on using this gauge and resizing hands using it and some broaching tools. But even the broaching tool, my largest broaching tool, is not big enough to be used for this pocket watch hand. So that's why I'm using this file. It's just some way I came up with. I know there's probably different ways. If you have a way that you like to use to make the hand hole bigger, leave it in the comments section. Well, now it's time to start opening up the hole on that watch hand. You can see our little white reference mark on the file. We've inserted our file in the hole that we have our watch hand in. Now we're going to start the process of opening up that hole. Just take the file and slowly spin it around and keep working it around until we get to our mark that we've made on our file. Be careful not to go past that mark and just go slow. If you push too hard or use too much force, you could cause that file to bind up in the hole of that pocket watch hand, and you'll have a hard time getting it to come out. And you also take a chance of damaging the hand as you're trying to remove that file that's stuck. So just be careful and go slow, work slow while you're doing this. It doesn't take much force to remove the metal from around the hole of that hand. So let's take our hand out of our broaching vise and check our work and see how we did. Just unscrew the bottom and press together and it'll open right up. Well, it looks like that hand fits right on there, nice and snug and tight, just like we want it. Well, the next thing we need to do is work on this minute hand, and we're going to make that hole smaller, because remember, it was too large to fit on the cannon pinion. We'll be using one of my favorite tools, the staking tool set, to do this job. The punch we'll be using is the round face solid punch, and this one is the D9. It's the smallest round face punch in my set. Now you need to find a spot on your die plate on your staking tool set that doesn't have any holes. I lower the punch on the hand to hold it steady so I can get everything adjusted just right. Now I like to use a small piece of Rodico to help hold the hand in place while I'm working on it. It also keeps it from flying away when I'm hitting it with that punch. You notice that the hole in the watch hand is square, not round. And so what I'll be doing is going to each one of the square corners and striking it with that punch. And as I strike that punch on that corner, it moves the metal forward. It condenses that metal and makes the hole a little bit smaller. If you like these type of videos, subscribe to my channel and also hit that like button. Also check out my home channel page. The videos are organized into topics and subjects you may be interested in. I'm staking all four corners of the watch hand, and I'm just hitting it lightly. I don't want to disrupt too much metal that close it too tight. But if I do that, I can always take a small file and open the hole up a little bit more to adjust it. Well, we got our closing done on the hand. Now let's check our work and see how it turned out. Well, it looks like it's going to be a good fit. Yeah, pressed down nice and tight and snug. Just what we wanted. Well, now I have one more thing I need to check, and that's to make sure that the hour hand and the minute hand clear each other when I'm setting the time, and they're not going to rub each other. And it looks like everything works out okay. Well, let's wind this watch up. We'll set the time on it and let it run for about 48 hours before I do any final adjustments on this watch. This watch is a Waltham Appleton Tracy model 1877, and it was made in 1881.